Đelko Vukciljević je čovjek koji je pratio dugi niz godina Beogradski džez festival, koji je autor fotografija za Politiku i sa te strane je strašno puno doprinao svojim fotografijama da prava vizualna istina o Beogradskom džez festivalu i neka njegova emocija dopre do najšire publike. Tako da smo smatrali da Đelku treba da upriličimo u jednom trenutku izložbu. To je nešto o čemu smo ranije pričali. Jako je važno da ta publika uspeva da preko nečega doživi Beogradski džez festival, preko nekog vizualnog sadržaja.
After the first saxophone lesson I had, my father and I went to the record shop. He took me to the record shop and bought me a Charlie Parker record. It was a Verve compilation, and the first tune on the record was Confirmation. And first of all, my father said, you know, you're learning saxophone now, so you should know Charlie Parker. And after listening to the the first notes, it was completely clear that this is what I wanted to do. I was 8 years old, and from this moment on, I was like, I want to become a saxophone player. The musicians in my quintet here are friends. One of the most important people musically in my life, besides Philip Nickerin, who's also playing in the quintet. He's my partner in crime. He's been that for 20 years now. I would definitely say Bobby Previtt. He had a huge influence on me. I met him 13 years ago, now 12 years ago. It was a very difficult time for me. My father just passed, and right after the day of the memorial, we went on tour, and this is where I met Bobby. And he approached me and was like, hey, I'm Bobby, good to have you on board. And after the tour, he asked me if I wanted to be in his band in New York, and I was like, sure. And from this moment on, we've been working together on so many records and played many gigs, festivals, and whatever. And he really pushed me to find out who I am or who I want to be. Most of my music is really autobiographical in a way, so I love to dedicate my tunes to places or times in my life or people. And I always try to also sort of reflect on my life and maybe also my weaknesses. This is why I composed chant, something that really chills me out. Mantra, something that I remind myself of, like to focus and stay cool. And we know the critical mass, and then of course we know the two meanings of mass, right? There's the mass, like a mass, and then there is the mass. And when I composed all those compositions, and still nowadays, I think that we're surrounded by so many hypocrites. It's a hypocritical mass, really. We're not honest. Like, our society has become very dishonest, and this is something I don't want to say hate, because it's a strong word, and we shouldn't hate these days. We should spread love. But I don't know. I just when I wrote the tune, which is also like it's basically two loops combined together. I don't know. It just came to my mind. Hypocritical Mass. I also love the title, and I really love the message. Absolutely. The first thing I owned to record music with was a mini disc player. And I was 16 or something, and the theater in Linz, in Upper Austria, hired me to produce some music for them, to record some music for them. And I was like, I can't afford a studio, I better do it myself. So I got myself a terrible Behringer mixer, super cheap, crappy mixer. From there on, it kept developing, and then I got my computer, and I got Ableton Live, and after Ableton Live, I got Pro Tools, and then I made my first records. And all of a sudden, I found myself not really being happy with the sound that I heard when somebody mixed my records, not because they were not good engineers, but because I didn't really know what I wanted to sound like. And so it helped me to find out who I am and what I want to sound like. On the one hand, on the other hand, it was a nice income, because as a freelance jazz musician, it's pretty hard to make a living out of it. So it was like, those are my two jobs. Now I have a third job. I teach at the university, saxophone and music production, which is awesome. I do there what I do in my real life.
When I left New Zealand, I was 17 years old, and I wanted to come to Europe to try my luck, and I studied in Germany, in Cologne, lived there for a while, and I was lucky to also start working and recording for radios. Mostly I'm a saxophone player, but I also compose and teach and sing and do different things. That kind of keeps me alive, keeps me interested in life. I guess through destiny, I have two sons in Serbia. I came here some years ago, and it was a very new place for me, quite exotic. So I did my best to learn your language, and I wanted to learn also the songs and the music you had. So I started to collect the songs, and when we had the lockdown, the quarantena, I had plenty of time to do that. And so tonight I made some arrangements of, let's say, Serbian traditional songs, and used them as kind of jazz pieces, so I improvise on top of them. The other songs that they touched me, I liked them, and that was my way of kind of getting a little bit closer to understanding your culture, apart from just, Proja and Iva, Kajmak, Slivovic, that kind of stuff. I wanted to also have the music. So I was just looking around for young talent here, and I found some amazing young jazz musicians. We met here in Belgrade, we jammed together sometimes, and we decided to play with them, so that's how it happened. I come from a pretty small place in New Zealand, so I really wanted to get out and learn music and travel around, and each place I visit has maybe different approaches or different styles how you learn the music. And some countries, like your country, music is very, integrated in the society. Like people know a lot of songs, and you have all kinds of different folk traditions that are still very active. So I don't know, everywhere's a little bit different, but I personally just learn a little bit each time how you learn the music and how you live the music. So they're just little things I take with me.
Studying in The Hague and actually in Amsterdam too, it opened really my mind. In Barcelona, for me, they focus more in tourism and not so much in jazz music because we don't have that much audience. So I think they don't put that much sources in jazz, and I feel we are a lot of jazz musicians in Barcelona and we don't have enough venues to play. When you are young and nobody trusts you, then it's difficult to find a place to play. And I feel in the Netherlands I had a lot of venues to kind of try my repertoire and to kind of do risky things and develop my way of composing. I studied jazz for my whole life, jazz standards and the way that brings me to kind of improvise too. But since I studied a lot of music that is not from my hometown, I felt that I needed to play something that I could be related to as well. So I kind of mixed all these roots from jazz and my own roots, which is Catalan music. And yeah, actually I play songs from La Nova Cançó, which is a period that my grandmother and my grandfather lived. Like, it was a tough period because it was the war and they had to leave. And for me, I can relate a lot also with them. And I also work a lot with Catalan traditional music in other projects. So for me, it's super natural to go out from Catalonia and to bring something from my hometown so I can share also where I'm from and how is my identity.
L'altra meitat vinc amb mi per no deixar-me sense vida. I avui en terres de França i demà més lluny potser no moriré d'enyorança, ans d'enyorança viuré. Que en ma terra del Vallès 3 turons fan una serra, 4 pins un bosc espès i quarteres massa terra, com en Vallès no hi ha res.
The first album and the second album, they are 2 periods of my life that I had in the Netherlands, and I was just composing songs about things that are happening to me. But this third one is called teia. Teia is a wood that it burns really easily, and we use it to start a fire when we are at home or just to get warm. And for me, all the compositions that I did in this album, they are about fire, like things that I wanted to burn and to forget about, or just to put lights in some things that I think that they are kind of forgotten, or just to emphasize the warmth of my beloved ones.
so joining as one. Lord, help me with sharing my heart with my brothers and all my sisters, 'cause we all belong to this earth. So Lord, help us share more love.
In jazz and education, I think in all the arts, it's the same issue of degrees, and young artists have their own inspiration, and we need to honor that. And so I'm involved in working with younger musicians, but I try to avoid using the word teaching or professor or education, because I feel that it's more important that we share, that I learn from them and they learn from me. It's wonderful that the arts are so present in our education now, especially jazz, because young musicians are exposed to more information and more artists than ever before. At the same time, I think it's important that we continually reflect on how we deal with the creativity of the art form itself. Well, it's completely new music with a very specific inspiration of all the gifts I've received from my heroes and from legends and from musicians, and also the gifts that I have given to them. And it's also very specifically inspired by the music of Billy Strayhorn. A couple of years ago, I heard Charles Lloyd playing some Strayhorn songs. And I went and I did a deep study and decided to make my own arrangements of some sort. So it's these new original pieces and Billy Strayhorn. And the musicians in this particular Gifts trio are very special with making sound and atmosphere and groove, beats. So it's all of those things. Greenleaf Music is a company I started almost 20 years ago. It's an umbrella for everything that creative artists do. So it's not only my music, but it's my music and my sheet music podcast. I do interviews with artists, different kinds of information, videos, and we have a program with a subscription where you can join the company and then you get everything, which now is over 100 recordings. So it's a big opportunity to share the music.
At one point I was playing in Calvi in Corse in a French jazz festival with a friends, and in one day I become friends with every French people on this island. So everybody called me some months later to start play in Paris. After that I start to live in French for 7 years, and I do my career in French. And after that, I go back in Italy, I go in America. I was going in Boston also to study. You know, France for me is, you know, the most important thing. I sign for Blue Note and I go in Blue Note American. Sometimes it's difficult when we play in the same country to have a riconoscimento. The music of the Maestro Ennio Morricone is difficult to choose because everything is beautiful. So if you listen the music, you cannot do the album because he has 500 tunes. So if you have to do 1 million of albums. So I just listen 20 songs and we put 12. We chose some famous song from a movie like C'era una volta in America, but also other movie that nobody know, like La Cosa Buffa, Che cosa avete fatto a Solange. We do a mix of that. Morricone was an incredible man, and I had the occasion to know him in a party in 2007, and I speak with the maestro, and when the maestro he asked me my life, I think he was surprised to know that my mother was a cooker, that I was from a peripheric zone of Rome, a little difficult. He said to me, "Ah, bello. Your mother cook?" You say, "Yes, my mother cook pasta, bucatini." Ah, bello, bello. Because if I was speaking about music, it wasn't interesting about that. So, and he wrote a song for me on this occasion. So for me was incredible. And I was going away from this dinner with a manuscript. You know, you can understand the valore of this thing. I say to the maestro at this moment, I would like to do an album with your music. And he said to me, "Stefano, no, please don't do it." And when he said to me, "Don't do it," in my mind for years, I say, I have to do. Somebody, when you say something to me that I don't do it, I do it anyway. And 4 years ago, I say again to the maestro, I really would like, and he say, "Okay, dai, va bene." But I do the album and it was passed, so he didn't listen nothing. But I was so scared.
Ne treba posmatrati Beogradski jazz festival kao neko mesto da treba da dođu ljudi koji samo poznaju džez, nego i oni koji žele da se upuste u džez kao avanturu, u tom smislu što žele da otkriju kako izgleda muzika kad počne da otkriva svoje krajnje potencijale, granične potencijale. I mi gledamo da to pratimo, svake godine predstavimo sve moguće džez vizije koje dolaze iz različitih kultura. Iz Francuske, Nemačke, Italije, Španije, Portugala, to samo ovu godinu pominjem, naravno Amerike, Srbije i tako dalje. džez je svuda pustio neke korene i odatle iz svih tih nacionalnih kultura dolazi neko drugačije tumačenje džeza, neki drugačiji doživljaj, neki drugačiji jazzscape.